He goes.
Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30 p.m. We're going to start this meeting.
He's got that brace all the way on his leg now. So, yeah.
Put your hand over it. Yeah, be like Larry. Okay, so we are having a committee meeting tonight to discuss our current issues with sales tax. Mr. Winningham does have some good news. We got our latest numbers back and we're actually up 4.7% over the same time last year. So that,
All right.
so hopefully we've turned the corner. But anyway, Tyler, I will turn it over to you at this point, sir.
All right. Scared myself a little bit. Before this meeting, that ain't what we want. So, anyway, I went to look to try to see like what categories were up to cause us to be up 4.7 for this month, but they don't have that information available yet. And before I realized what I was looking at May's, and it was showing that everything was still down. So I thought there was a big confusion going on down in Little Rock, but it's just I was looking at the wrong thing. Why is this putting it in this weird?
That looks pretty.
How's it putting it in this weird window thing? Oh, it's just on my, okay. My monitor does not look like that one. Okay. All right, here we go. Isn't that a great
Don't it look good?
cover slide right there?
Don't it look good already?
Let's admire that for a little bit. All right, so we're looking at sales tax. We've been down every month so far this year, and it's been on all of our minds, I'm sure. Why do we care so much? Well, if you look at our general fund, it's the lime green section is what sales tax represents for our budget. It's 60%. And I'm not good at pie charts either. I was wanting to get the sales tax on the right side because that's where the piece of the pie is, but I could never figure that out. But anyway, citywide, it's a little less than half. It's about 47% of our budget is sales tax. So it's, without sales tax, we don't run. And so that's why we watch it as close as we do. Any minor changes can have a big impact on us. And so we try to keep on top of it as much as possible. So we're going to look at kind of two different ways of analyzing these trends. First, we're going to look at our trends over time. So I think 2 council meetings back, I told you I had done an analysis on these NAICS codes, NAICS codes. This is as good of information as we can get from the state when it comes to who is contributing what level of sales tax in the city. And it's by these business codes. So these 17 codes were the ones I've been looking at that I thought gave us the best overall picture of what our local economy is. So give you just a second to kind of read through those. That cement and concrete product manufacturing, that first one listed, that may not sound like it's a huge part, but it is actually one of the bigger categories when you look at the sales tax receipts. That's why it's included. And those others, I don't think they really need any explanation. So we looked at data for January through May, which are sales for November last year through March of this year. So it's catching the holiday season, November and December, and then it's up to the most recent data that we've got right now. When you look at all those 17 categories, and then you look there in that second bullet, so each month that shows how many categories were down compared to the prior year. And it's always with, I guess, March, it was less than half, but January, 71% of the categories were down, and so on and so forth. You can read those. We had one category, electronic shopping, which has got to be internet sales. I don't know what else they would call it. That's been up each month except for January. We've had no single category up every month of these 17 that I looked at. And that electronic shopping code, I don't really know how that works. Because you got Walmart, and if you go to walmart.com and order something, I don't know if that gets reported separately as electronic shopping or if that just gets reported as Walmart in probably that other general merchandise category.
I'm gonna bet that that's gonna be, electronic shopping.
Well, I think it's,
If you,
I think
if
they
you
only
do a
file one,
.com,
I think they only file one return for the whole company.
do they?
I think so.
Okay.
That's what I've been told.
Okay, that could be right.
So strictly electronic shopping, I guess maybe Amazon, eBay, that sort of thing. But as we've talked about before, that's been a huge help to us now that we, local sales tax is collected on those internet sales. So the data's not been good. It's not been good. If you look at the total tax for those 17 categories, it was higher in May than in March or April. So month to month, our sales are growing as opposed to comparing it to the same month last year. And again, February, that's the sales in December. So you got holiday shopping. So that number kind of skews the trends. But if you look at the beginning of the analysis to the end of the analysis, that third bullet point there, we're relatively flat, down 0.06%, 0.6%. And then the category with the largest increase over that time was that building supplies dealers. So again, like I said, with electronic shopping, the next categories information is good, but we still don't really know a whole lot about it. We don't know what businesses are reporting in those categories. That's all up to their finance and accounting departments and how they fill out their Arkansas state sales tax returns. Do you want to look at actual numbers?
Would.
Okay. So these were the numbers that I had in that the March financials at the April meeting. The ones highlighted in blue were down every month. And then we had two categories, auto parts retailers, restaurants and other eating. They were up every month up until that point. Here we are tonight where we've got some more data to look at. We no longer have any category that's been up every month. The restaurants and other eating was down for the month of March. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What you said at the beginning, 4.7, the April sales reported in
June. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, and we just don't have detailed data on that yet. And then this is looking month to month just in the same year. How are we growing from January until now? And you can see here's that 0.6 number I referenced. The total tax collected for these categories, not for the whole city, but for these categories, the tax we received in January was just over $2 million, and then the tax we received in May was 1.994. So you can see over here the ones in red. That represents what that category did. So like for electronics and appliance stores, it was 70. Then it was 62. So you've got that 8,266 decrease.
Other general merchandise, I guess, would that be? Those are big numbers.
I think that's Walmart, Target, would be my guess, just because of the size of the number relative.
Those numbers are bigger.
Right. So what you can do, I mean, you can take that number divided by 0.0175. So that's $35 million in sales for the month.
That month.
Sir.
Thank you.
Tyler, is the 5132 software publishers from 120 grand to $203? Is that accurate or is that a typo?
That is accurate. They had a large rebate. $115,000 rebate was claimed in that category for that month.
Ooh, what could that possibly be? What do we have in town that's software publishing that would get a $115,000 rebate?
I have no idea.
Find out.
Not through them. I mean, if we ask around town, we might find out, but we're not going to get it from Department of Finance and Admin. Ready to move on? And I'll be glad to send this to anybody if y'all want to.
Tyler, just clarity, the November to March difference that you're showing here is not the collective. It's what we received in May that reflects March sales compared to what we received in January that reflects November sales. So we're really looking at the delta between the month of March's activity compared to November's activity from last year.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's just for these categories. Yeah, so that's, we talk about sales tax being down, 1.7, 1.8%. And here we're only showing negative 0.6. Well, it's because we're just looking at a set of the data, not the whole data. So the next thing I thought we'd look at is comparing ourselves to other cities. So I looked at 19 other cities, 20 counting ourselves. These are the other ones analyzed. They're in alphabetical order. I tried to catch just about every one we've ever talked about, ever would talk about. Similar in size, also close to us in geography, and tried to get a good sample there. So of those 20 total, us included, and this data was taken from the latest City and Town magazine. It's just the April receipts. Only 7 cities were up for their tax collections in that month. 13 of them were down. And of those 13, we were the third best. And I'll show you that data as well. So here they are sorted. The cities in this section had positive growth in this month. These cities had negative growth, and we were only the third best, worst, however you want to call it, of that group. Some cities were down 4, 5, 8. North Little Rock was showing down 12. That was probably some big rebate or something that caused that. And then Bentonville.
Is that just for 1 month?
Yes, sir. That's just for April.
Okay.
Yeah. Bentonville, their name was in the newspaper having to deal with sales taxes being down. And you see, well, here this month they were up. But then that very next month they got hit with that $4.5 million rebate that was claimed. So that's messing them up pretty good. And then Searcy, they had a half-cent tax that went into effect last year. So that's why that half-cent represents a 33% increase in just the tax rate itself. And that's the largest contributor to that 58% change.
Know what that took that tax rate to, Tyler?
Yes, sir. It went to, I believe it went to 2. It was at 1.5, and they raised it a half-cent to 2.
The maximum that
2.
cities can charge.
2 is the maximum you can charge for general purposes. If you go over 2, it's got to be for repayment of bond debt or for specific projects.
Noting, it's in Bentonville, the article, they're being very cautious. The mayor issued a hiring freeze in the city of Bentonville, of all places.
Any other questions on this data? So that's pretty much the conclusion of the analysis. I've got some final thoughts to go over with you. First of all, we're not alone, like we just saw. There's lots of other cities. There's more cities than not that are in the same boat as us. We've had two other times in our history of the sales tax that sales tax was negative from one year to the one prior. The most recent was 08-09 after the housing bubble burst. The one before that was 01-02 with the tech bubble, the dot-com bubble. We don't have a bubble that's burst now. That's what's so puzzling to us, why sales tax has been down like it has. Is it predicting that there's going to be a bubble burst? Maybe. I've heard and read articles that housing may be headed towards not necessarily a bubble burst, but certainly a downturn. You know, building materials got so high during the pandemic, which caused housing prices to go so high. And then the Fed kept increasing the rates through that time as well too. So money is a lot more expensive than it used to be to borrow, and housing prices have been at an all-time high. So I think we're headed towards a correction there. Don't know that it'll necessarily affect local economy and local sales tax, but the experts seem to think it's all related to a degree. And you know, what you read now, most blame is placed on the federal tariffs and the national and global uncertainties, which just seems like that's kind of a general thing they always point to, uncertainty. Uncertainty is always a scapegoat. And the last thing I was going to point out, which has been talked about many, many times, our budget is 82% personnel. So when we come into a period where sales tax is down and sales tax is our biggest revenue source, if we start looking at ways to save money, it's very, very difficult to save enough money to make up for that unless we cut personnel. And I don't think anybody is ready to talk about that just yet. Cities, we don't sell things, we provide services. And we can't provide services unless we got people. So in my opinion, we're just in a patch of rough water, and we just got to keep paddling.
Make sure that paddling is not heading toward a fall.
Right. And I think we're doing that. We did a spending freeze first of the year. Then we ramped up that spending freeze after we had 2 or 3 months of consecutive downturns. So we're looking at every single expense from all the departments, making sure everything is a need, not a want. I feel like we're doing as much as we can to mitigate the negative impact.
Is this more information that you?
That's mine.
That's
Oh,
Mr. Grimes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, if I could continue, have you wrapped up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Very good. I didn't want to cut you off. Very good. Thank you for that information.
Thank you for that information.
Mr. Mayor, if I could have 5 minutes of this to continue on the related topic of sales tax. I passed around, this map is also, if you read your monthly city and town towards the back of that magazine, they always have this map. And just for comparison's sake, and more of this is spelled out on the next page with numbers, but Conway's city sales tax is 1.75. All those cities that we get compared to and we compare ourselves to, Bentonville is 2, Rogers is 2, Springdale is 2, Fayetteville is 2, North Little Rock is 2, Cabot is 2, Benton's 2.5, Bryant's 3. Again, we're 1.75. So be it. Also, our county tax is 0.5, which means we don't share in Fulton County's tax collections. Cities that are 1%, I believe 0.5 is the cutoff. Anything over that, they split proportionally with cities in the county. So that means not only do cities in Benton and Washington County have higher city sales taxes, they share in their county sales tax as well, just for point of order. If you look at the next page, these are the top 20 cities in Arkansas by population. And you can see that, again, above us, Texarkana 2.5, Benton 2.5, all with the 2.0 is Cabot, Fayetteville, Springdale, Fort Smith, Rogers, North Little Rock, Bentonville, Sherwood, Bella Vista, and Jacksonville. Then we come in 13th at 1.75. And again, you can see everybody except Benton on that list shares in their county tax.
So if you want to talk about some real dollars, what that looks like, turn to the third page. And this was from Arkansas Business a couple of weeks ago. They published one of their list, and this one was the 2024 local sales tax receipts. And Conway's tax receipts from sales tax in 2024 was 39.05 million. Again, that was on 1.75%. Above, number one was Little Rock, but their tax rate is actually only 1.125, but they've got the largest economy in the state, or as far as city. But then again, it's like a broken record. Fayetteville, Rogers, Fort Smith, Bentonville, Springdale, North Little Rock, all above us with 2.0. Now, I did a little ciphering, and the 0.25% difference between the 2.0 and 1.75 would have generated for Conway about 5.5 million. So that still would have left us in 8th place, but would have taken us still behind North Little Rock. They got 48, we would have had about 46. All right. And then the last page shows the county tax receipts. In the 14th place is Faulkner County, and I'll give the Judge Dotson and the Quorum Court kudos for doing what they're doing with, they got $15 million last year on 0.5%, which is even below Pope County, Jefferson County, and Crittenden County, Union County. Of course, the big dogs, again, Pulaski County, but Bentonville County sales tax, Benton County sales tax generated $93 million. Faulkner County generated $15 million. Let me say again, Benton County generated $93 million in county sales tax. A good part of that split to Bentonville. Washington County generated $85 million in county sales tax. A good part of that split with Fayetteville. So, take all that for what it's worth.
Thank you, Mr. Grimes. And
David,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm looking at this correct, the city sales tax one.
yes,
Let me put this down. So the percentage underneath it is the difference from 2023 to 2024,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
So we had a pretty large decrease. Only
That, Tyler,
Bentonville.
that's because our street tax rolled off.
yes.
Is that why? Okay.
Yeah. Without it, you said we're up 3. Without that factored in, we're up 3.
That's right, because that ended, what, in March of last year? I think it was March or April.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So yes, that very
So we
good
still
question.
had
That
9
explains it.
months. Yeah, we still
Yeah.
had, well, so we had 9 months of not having that tax.
Yes,
only-
yes.
yeah, okay.
And Ms. Mel had asked me earlier this week, what was the city doing to hopefully help get a grip on where we are right now with our current sales tax? As you know, we always have a spending freeze the first 3 months of the year, seeing how the sales tax goes, and we've not pulled that back yet. We're still under that. I've also asked Tyler and his department to do internal audits of each department. They're going department to department throughout the city. They're looking at everything, take-home vehicles, money spent. I don't think they're getting on toilet paper yet, but they're getting pretty deep. And they're going to report back, and we'll see what areas we can cut there. And then also, I had put on a hiring freeze with the exception of police, fire, and the new aquatic center because we're hiring lifeguards. But police and fire are not under hiring freeze, but all other departments are at this time. So that's kind of what we're doing. I'm waiting to hear back, like I said, from Mr. Winningham's crew as to what other cuts we can make, because hopefully July, or the last numbers we got, this month, hopefully we're turning a corner. But if not, what I do not want to do is continue spending and then me have to come back before the people and this council and say, hey, we're down $1 million. We're just not going to do that. So we're making the necessary adjustments that we can to hopefully stem the tide. But I think maybe we turn the corner, hopefully.
That's it for me.
Thank you, Tyler.
That was good, Tyler.
Thank you.
well done.
Council, let's take about a 5-minute break and meet back here at 6 o'clock. Thank you. Meeting with a word of prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would like. Please feel free to join us. Mr. Hawks, could I ask you to word our prayer, please?
Pray. Father, I thank you for this evening, the ability to be here. And Father, I thank you for this community that you have blessed us with. And Father, we truly have a community here in Conway. And God, I pray that tonight that you will keep your hand over this meeting, and God, that you will bless it and guide it to your intended purpose. Be with everyone in this community and bless them, Father. We pray all that in Christ's holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now call this meeting to order. Ms. Hurd, would you call the roll, please?
Sir, Mr. Hawkins?
Here.
Mr. Grimes?
Here.
Mr. Spurgers? Ms. Mel?
Here.
Mr. Ledbetter? Mr. Hawks?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Isby?
Here.
All right, you should have received copies of the minutes from the May 27th, 2025 City Council meeting. Any comments, corrections, or changes?
Make a motion for approval as submitted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 8-0. Well, we get to hear from Mr. Winningham again. Is he still here?
He's gone.
Caught him by surprise.
This will be our monthly financial report ending May 31st, 2025. Mr. Winningham.
Forgot that I was so high on the agenda. All right, so tonight we're looking at actual results from May. We've mentioned sales tax every time, and we've already talked about it, so why not talk about it a little bit more? This month, it was down 1.7%, putting us down at 3.2 year to date. After the number we got today, being up 4.7, I think we're down only 1.9. So that number today was a big help for us. In other news, that first line item there under revenues, property tax, we got our first big ad val check for the month, which that was a big help for us in May. If you recall, last month our bottom line was a net expense of 2.8 million, and here we're looking at negative 1.5. So we made up a good bit of ground in May, and then hopefully we'll do the same when you see the June financials with our sales tax turn around as well. That's about all I've got on general funds. Anybody, does the council have any questions or comments on the general fund? The only other thing I was going to mention was on the street fund. They're showing a net expense for the year, and we had a $900,000 payment in May for overlays. So good work being done, but it does hurt when we do it. It's expensive. And then
I'm sorry, will you say that again? It was spent on what?
overlays.
Oh, thank you. Overlay. Very good.
Overlays.
Overlays. In the revenue section, under federal grants there, the $209,000, we're starting, excuse me, we're starting to collect reimbursements on the Connect Conway grant now. And that's where you'll be seeing that revenue going forward, because that's where the expense is. So,
Tyler, I'm sorry. We're on street fund?
yes, sir.
Federal grant revenue.
Federal grant revenue, the $209,000.
Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Are you in the right month?
It's a me issue. We'll figure it out.
You're not in the right
I'm
month.
just going to follow it.
This one right here. 200.
And that's all I've got, Mayor.
Any questions, Mr. Winningham? Counselor,
I'd
I'll
like
take,
the
I'm sorry.
information that you gave us before the meeting. Thank you for
Yes.
that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Glad to do it.
good job, Tom.
Thank you.
Counselor, I'll take a motion.
So moved that
Second.
we
Have-
accept the financials for May.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the monthly financials for May of this year. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Thank you, Tyler. Next on the agenda, we have the Community Development Committee. Mr. Hawkins, this is all you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item on this portion of the agenda is consideration to approve waiving all three readings for the ordinances on tonight's agenda. And there are 4 of those, and I would take a motion to that effect.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to approve the waiving 3 readings. Did I get ahead of you, Ms. Mel? I'm
It's all
sorry.
right, I'll get in there. I'll sneak in.
Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution authorizing Conway Corporation to condemn property to construct a water treatment facility and dual voltage substation in the eastern part of the city. And Brett, is Brett here?
I think Mr. Carroll is here.
Carroll is here. Would you like to come talk to us about this, please, sir? Yes. Thank you.
Brett Carroll, CEO of Conway Corporation. I live at 330 Conway Boulevard. And I guess just to give you a little bit of history and context behind this project, it is something we've been working on for a long time. It's a long-term water supply project. We believe and are convinced that at some point Lake Brewer will not be big enough to serve our community. As we're growing, it won't be big enough to serve our community. So 2037 is when we believe that we'll need an alternative water source. We've been paying for an allocation from Greers Ferry Lake for a few years. And so now we're beginning the process of finding a way to get water from Greers Ferry to the city of Conway. And so we've been working on that for a period of time. And we need to get the Corps involved to move this project along. And it's not just Conway Corp that's involved in it. Community Water Systems is involved. As you might imagine, they serve customers in the county, and they're seeing growth in the county around the city of Conway, much like we are. And so they're planning for future growth as well. And so we've got about 140,000 people that are relying on our planning efforts to make this happen. So right now, what we're trying to do is to nail down both endpoints for this project. The Corps of Engineers will not get involved in permitting until we have point A and point B. We do have point A located. We have identified point B. We've been negotiating in good faith on a piece of property there off of Skunk Hollow Road, just south of 64 East. There's 80 acres there that would not only serve as an ideal location for a new water treatment plant on the east side of town, but also given the fact that there's a high voltage transmission line that runs through that property, would be a great location for an electrical substation when the time calls for it. So that is another reason why the piece of property is ideal. And so, the condemnation process is something that we are not crazy about, but I think, as I mentioned, we've got 140,000 people that are waiting on this. And again, we've been negotiating in good faith with the buyer or with the seller on this piece of property and made an offer well above appraised value. But we just, there's been some death in the family and there's heirs. There's been no probate opened, and so it's just not going to happen in a timely fashion. And all the while, this project is languishing and is not getting done. And time is of the essence. So I'm speaking for condemnation. We do have an offer on the table. I would mention to you that they still have time to accept. We're not going to condemn it tomorrow. We are going to give them, some time to accept the offer. But I think we need the condemnation approved so we can move forward. If we can't reach an accord. So I would mention that we have Gary Giles, who is here, who on our legal team that's been working on this. We also have a number of our engineering team that's been working on this project. We started negotiating on a piece of land really around last August, and so here we are, no closer to being finished. And so that is where we are and why we recommend condemnation. I'll be happy to answer any question that you guys might have. Again, we have Gary Giles with our legal team, and then we have our engineering team here in case there's some technical questions that are beyond my technical expertise. But at this point, I'll shut up and answer any questions that you guys might have.
So I have a question, Mr. Carroll.
Yes, sir.
So y'all been negotiating with the family. You offered fair market value, and they were okay with that.
We had an appraisal for that. There's 111 acres. We need 80. We made an offer well above the appraised value, well above that was agreed to, at least verbally by them. We just don't have anything that they've signed, but it was agreed to verbally. So Gary I'll probably get this wrong, but the way this works, and this is probably more than you asked for, Mayor, but you know, as soon as we move forward with the condemnation, we deposit the amount of money that they agree to in the registry of the court, and then the family gets to decide how they want to divvy those funds up. But we get immediate possession of the property, and we can begin to move forward with the core and doing the things that we need to do.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
Yes, sir.
That spoke to the question I was going to ask is if condemnation is that you have to go, do we pay what that previous agreed amount was or
Yes.
okay.
Yes, we paid, we're not obligated to do so, but we gave him our word. In fact, they have a written offer in hand that, that documents what we plan to offer, and it's the price that they asked for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for clarity, it's not Conway that pays for it, it's Conway.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're not asking the city of Conway. It's, yeah,
Thank
it's-
you.
Yeah.
that's
Appreciate the
correct.
correction.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, good clarification. No, we're not asking the city of Conway for any money. It is coming from Conway Court funds.
Appreciate you looking out for a growing city.
Yes, sir.
Pretty straight shot, it looks like.
It is. We're working on the alignment. We've got three different routes we've looked at, but again, until you have point B, we can't nail that down. But certainly that is a plan. It won't be, that really is more representative, Andy. There are some curves and bends to accommodate, you know, creeks and topography and other landowners, and the easement process is very time consuming, but we need to get moving on that as well.
You're gonna have to get that under Highway 64, aren't you?
Correct. Correct.
Fuck.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions, Mr. Carroll? Council, back to you.
Anybody else want to speak?
Is there anybody else?
Oh, I'm sorry. Would anybody like, my point, would anyone like to speak for or against? Now, council, back to you.
I'll move for adoption of the resolution.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution of condemnation for a water treatment facility for Conway Corporation. Any further discussion?
What's the resolution number?
Resolution 2518.
Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
This is 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is consideration to approve Jose Castro for a full 4-year term on the Conway Advertising and Promotion Commission, and I move that we accept that nomination.
I'll
Second.
second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the nomination of Jose Castro for a full term on the A&P Commission. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution to grant a license to Blue Sky Transportation to operate a taxi service within the city of Conway. And is there a representative from Blue Sky here tonight? Would you like to come up and speak? Thank you.
Could you please state your name and address for the record, sir? All righty.
Hi guys, my name is Mahmoud Jalilati. I have been in this great city about 14 years. I moved from Little Rock, which I have been in the state almost before I have silver hair. So that was almost 40 years. So anyway, I used to own a transportation company in Little Rock, and I opened Layla restaurant in here. So for some reason, I am trying to go back again on transportation. So I found out a Yellow Cab company in here, and it takes too long for the customer to pick up. So I thought maybe if I can put my hand, maybe that will help the community and help the public. So I'm asking you guys and gentlemen and ladies that you give me the permission to operate under Blue Sky Transportation. And I appreciate you.
Very much. Any
Thank you.
questions?
And I'm working for my queen and my prime minister.
Cool.
You know, when you have kids, you work for them.
Absolutely.
This is my son, Abdul Karim, and this is my daughter. He goes to Simon, and she goes to Julie.
Very
Welcome,
good.
young man, young lady.
Very good. Very good.
Any
Yes.
question?
I said,
question?
welcome to the young man, the young lady. You're quite welcome.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to approve that resolution.
A motion, a second to approve this resolution for the Blue Sky, I think that was correct,
It's 19, Ms. Hurd, is that right?
That is correct.
Yes, 19. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution to approve the low bid for the Runway 4 extension project at the Conway Airport. And I'm not sure who's going to talk tonight. Yeah, come on up. Because I think I saw that Jake might be out of commission.
Yes,
for-
sir. He
for a day or
had
two.
back surgery yesterday, so
Is he okay?
he's doing good.
Great.
He's in recovery.
You got a lot more hair than Jake.
I'll tell him that. My name is Mason Brinkley. I'll be filling in with, for Jake this evening. So this is for the runway extension for 04, 500 feet, the lowest bid to give bigger aircraft more cushion to land. The funding will be 90% from the FAA and 10% from the Arkansas Division of Aeronautics.
This will allow larger planes to take off, sell more fuel.
Yes, sir. Sell more fuel, landing, takeoff, just more cushion and safer.
Still trying to get someone to build a restaurant out there. Council, any questions? Back to you, council.
Make a motion for the adoption of the resolution R 2520.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for runway 4 extension. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution to approve applying for the Surface Transportation Block Grant for the College Avenue Bridge Project for the Transportation Department. Hello, Kurt. Good evening.
Hello, Mr. Hawkins.
How are
Good
you?
evening to y'all. Okay, so this project is the bridge over Tucker Creek on College. The bridge right now, the sizing on the bridge is inadequate, and then also we've got the Kinley Trail, which crosses College at that location. This will give us the opportunity to create a grade-separated underpass for the trail, remove that at-grade crossing for Kinley Trail, and we'll actually, once the Salem Bridge project is complete, we'll kind of provide a complete path all the way from the park up there down to Hogan. Hogan will be the only crossing, and it's just there's a short crossing. I guess the trail extends a little bit west of Hogan. But the project, we've got design is about 60% complete on the project. We received a grant for the design portion of the project, and then this would be the application for the grant for the construction portion of the project. It is a 80-20 match grant. I guess the maximum amount would be, the 3.25 million. Mhm. Yeah, the total max is 4 million for the design and the construction. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the project or the grant process.
We've not let this project yet.
No,
We've not
no,
let the
sorry.
project
It
yet.
would, so again, design right now is about 60%. We plan to have the plans complete probably around the first of the year, and we'll bid it early next year.
This is going to be one where we'll have to close the road.
We are not planning on closing College.
Oh, how's this going to
We'll,
happen?
we'll construct it similar to the way that we did on Tyler Street a few years ago. The bridge is
Okay.
actually going to be, it'll be built a little bit wider than what it's needed, and that'll enable us to build a detour and actually keep traffic open on College.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
That's great news
That's
there,
a
Mr.
great-
Hawkins.
oh, man, I'm telling you.
I figured y'all would be happy with that.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a good one.
It'd be a great improvement for
It
the
will.
trail.
It will
because
be.
it-
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is, you know, and mostly cars stop, and we've got everything there with the blinking lights
Mhm.
and everything to do it, but they don't always.
That one's-
And,
Yeah.
um,
I agree. I agree. That's that one, the one on Salem, before we took it out to do the bridge replacement, we had the Hawk system, which was a little bit safer crossing system
Yeah.
than the RFB that we currently have at College. But this will help this will help a lot.
No, you just get going and then you gotta stop.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Any questions of Kirk?
Make a motion for the adoption of the ordinance, the resolution R 2521.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this resolution for the College Avenue Bridge project. Any further discussion? It's heard.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution to authorize the purchase of property at 959 Ferris Road. This is to allow for improvements in this area for cross-access and traffic improvements for the Transportation Department. Kurt, tell us what you can, please, sir.
Absolutely. So this is the property there at the corner of Prince and Ferris, west of Ferris there and south of Prince, between Ferris and the creek. And I'm sure y'all are all aware of the development that's going on in that area. There's, Brahms is planning on starting construction soon. I think they've kind of been waiting on this. We've been working on this little cross-access project for about a year, probably. They just cleared the site where the Rotolos is going in down there at the end. What this project will actually allow us to do is have cross-access provided all the way across those properties. Because, obviously with Prince, we've got a situation, with it being median divided, that you can't, make left turn movements to any of those properties. This would allow secondary access to all these properties back onto Ferris and hopefully, reduce some of that turning movement off and onto Prince in this area between these developments. But yeah, we've been working with Brahms, we've been working with the owners of Don Pepe's, and then Shadrack's, and then also Rotolos, which we really didn't have a whole lot of. But there's a lot been going on behind the scenes on this project, trying to kind of pull it all together. But the final piece that we need is this property up there on Ferris that would enable us to make that little short street section off of Ferris that would tie into these properties.
Thank you for working on this. Thank you for putting this
It's
together.
been a little bit of a challenge, but we've finally got it all worked out.
This is going to be.
Kurt and Jacob Reynolds and Troy Rice.
Troy Rice has been
Has been working on, stand up, Troy. You've done a great job on this with the other guys. This will be a tremendous traffic relief off Prince Street. And Esmeralda from Don Pepe's has been working with everyone as Shadrack's and Rotello. So it's been a really good team effort. So I appreciate everything everybody's done.
Thank you. Move for adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Have a motion, a second, to approve this resolution to purchase this property for the Transportation Department, and traffic improvements. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
R2522, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
Mr. Hawkins.
Final item here, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance to rezone property at 332 Southeast German Lane from A1 to S1. And Ms. Tucker, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Hawkins.
What
How's
can you-
everybody?
We're good. What can you tell us about this?
Well, it's the intent of the applicant to rezone this to S1 to use it as a daycare for children under the age of 2 for the Conway Christian staff. It's not just an open daycare. Daycare use is allowed via conditional use in the A1 zone, but this property is going to be part of the larger Conway Christian campus. And we advised them that it was probably the right thing to do. Miss Emily Ferris, I believe from Sal, is here tonight to speak if you have questions.
Ms. Emily, would you like to come up? If you'd like to come up and address the council. Hi.
Good evening, everyone. Emily Ferris. As she said, the Conway Christian is wanting to rezone this house to serve as a daycare only for their teachers, up to 10 children and 2 staff. And then the teachers will just going to walk over there, so not a high need for parking for the house. So, do y'all have any questions?
Questions?
I just got this is nothing negative, positive. Do you think y'all might have more growth there? Is that gonna be large enough for you?
For the daycare, for the time being, it's large enough because, when the kids get older, they can enroll in the preschool program. So I think they've got space for 10. They don't have a need for 10 yet, so there is a little bit of room built in for growth right now. After that, I don't know. The school is definitely growing, so.
Council, there was no opposition to this at the planning commission meeting, and it passed unanimously.
I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Mr.
That's
Mayor.
okay, Mr. Hawkins.
This is ordinance number
553.
53, ordinance O-2553.
Motion for the adoption of the ordinance.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
Mel,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Hawks, Mr. Grimes,
Aye.
Mr. Ledbetter, Mr. Spurgers,
Aye.
Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Ms. Isby.
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Or maybe I need to ask Ms. Hurd, did we pass the resolution to waive the three readings? of
We did.
everything?
It was a
we?
consideration.
Yeah, Mr. Hawkins. Yeah, that's okay. That's a long drive back from
I
Ohio.
know,
Miss
it
Smith.
was a long-
How's your car doing, by the way, after your electrocution?
Nice.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, sir. Thank
Next
you.
up, we have Public Service Committee. And first up, we have a resolution approving the acceptance of a grant funding from the Best Friends Animal Society for the Conway Animal Services. We have Mr. Clausen and Mr. Mitchell here. Mr. Clausen, that's you.
It's me. Yes, sir. We participated in a program that helped relocate several animals. It was a nationwide thing, involved 160 organizations, and it saved 2,100 animals. We played a small part in that. Thank you to David Mitchell and his crew out at Conway Animal Services. And for our efforts in that, they've awarded us this $1,000 grant. A win for everybody.
I'll make a motion, we accept the resolution.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve this grant funding from the Best Friends Animal Society. Any further discussion?
Just a commendation that, thank you for the good work. Keep it up.
Hey, I appreciate the word.
Mr. Clausen, I had a chance to hear Mr. Mitchell speak at the Conway Rotary Club, and it was very well, he did a great job, and it was really well received.
He is
Hopefully you
so-
got some adoptions out of it.
Yeah, well, that's what we want. He's so passionate. It's great that he was asked to go speak at that. I hope he can speak at more of those types of groups and spread our message, because we've been able to maintain no kill all year, and that's really takes a community effort, because we only have so many kennels, and we depend on the community for fosters, for adoptions, obviously, and for other ways to have live outcomes, which is what we're shooting
Well,
for.
and talked about ways people can volunteer just to help out there.
Absolutely, there's
Even
so
if
many
all you're
different
out
ways.
is helping to walk the dogs.
Yes, sure. Donate food, donate toys, come out there and walk the dogs, play with them. All those things reduce kennel frustration and make them more adoptable. So even though you might not have room for it at your house, you'll have them ready for a family that does.
Ms. Hurd.
Resolution 2523. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That passes 8-0. Next up, we have an ordinance to accept and approve the appropriation of grant funds for the Conway Animal Services. Mr. Clausen.
Yes, last time I was here, we entered it into an agreement to accept the grant, $20,000 grant from, it's a community cats program that we're starting, the TNVR, and I spoke about that last time I was here. And this is just receiving that first payment of $7,000 so we can get started.
Make a motion for the adoption of the ordinance O-2554.
Good.
I have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance for appropriation of grant funds for Conway Animal Services. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
Mr. Grimes?
Aye.
Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Spurgers?
Aye.
Ms. Isby?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hawks?
That passes 8-0. Thank you, Spencer. Keep up the good work, you and your
Thank you.
crew.
Mr. Jones, we have those 2 kittens for you whenever you're ready. 2 kittens for you.
I would gladly take them, but then I'd have to leave. Thank you, though.
Next, we have consideration to approve the disposal of vehicles and equipment for the sanitation department. Mr. Hopper.
Good evening.
Mr. Hopper, who I get compliments daily on your employees.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They do a fantastic job. Very fortunate, actually. So this evening, I've got 6 pieces of equipment we need to retire out of our fleet: 2 heavy trucks, 3 passenger vehicles, and a lawnmower.
Look at the years on those. Oh, my gosh. That-
Yeah,
It's impressive.
You you have used them up.
yeah.
I was
So,
gonna say, a 2006 Dodge Durango, I used to own a Dodge Durango about that age, and I don't know how in the world you made yours last that long.
No,
Mine sure
that's-
didn't.
we do a little trading sometimes with other departments if we have a decent truck that we need to let go. So that was a kind of a hand-me-down to us. So, but yeah, I mean, even like our heavy trucks, we try to cycle those out in 8 years, but we're a little behind.
So,
I swapped a truck out with you guys one time and I got 76 trash bags out
yeah,
under.
landfill truck.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they live in a pretty harsh environment.
Yeah, he laughed. He thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Council, back to you.
Do you have replacements for these, or are these just ones that?
We do, yes. Yeah, we generally don't put them on the list until we've already purchased the, or, you know,
Others, okay.
yeah, yes.
Make a motion that we allow the removal and disposal of these assets.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to approve vehicle and equipment disposal. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Sorry. Next up is a resolution to approve the purchase of a crawl dozer for the Department of Sanitation. I'm sure these have big hydraulic hoses on them, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
I blew out a hydraulic hose on a tractor and I couldn't get Ledbetter to come help me fix it. It's only 100 degrees. He just wouldn't show up.
He used to like you.
A long time ago. Mr. Hopper.
Yeah, so this is to replace a 2015 John Deere 700K. That machine's got over 12,000 hours right now, which is quite a few. Usually after about 10,000 hours, you start having some issues with them. And we started having issues with that particular dozer. Now, I will point out that we're buying this off of the Sourcewell contract. We did go ahead and get bids, or quotes rather, and that is the highest quote. We need this machine sooner than later. This particular machine's used on our slopes for grade work. That's how we're able to keep in the good graces of ADEQ. So and it's not a significant price increase. We can get this this particular unit within a week, delivered within a week, and it's also compatible with our other 700s. The other 700 we have, so we might have some ability to store parts and have some interchangeability there. So, and it doesn't require training for our operators. So,
And you mentioned the difference in price. It's only $5,000, and for that cheaper one, it's 4.5 months wait time. So,
yes,
Right.
we do have this in the budget, and it still came in under what we had budgeted too. So,
Make a motion for the adoption of the resolution R2524.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution to approve the purchase of a crawl dozer for the Department of Sanitation. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 8-0. Next up is a resolution to approve the purchase of a front-end load, side load, and service truck for the sanitation department. Mr. Hopper.
yes, sir. So we have a front load, an automated side load, and a service truck. Again, these will be purchased off the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement. For these three particular trucks, I think we came in under budget close to, I want to say it was like 95,000, but I'll say 80,000 just to be safe. So we're under budget. The front load will be replacing a 2014 Mack, and the side load will be replacing a 2015 Peterbilt. Those trucks are definitely ready to be cycled out. Those front loads take a beating. So, and then our service truck is actually an addition to our fleet. We currently have a 2011, I believe, Ford F-550, and we'd like to retain that for use strictly on the landfill property. As Mayor Castleberry said, you know, those vehicles really do take a beating out there, and they're in, I mean, just, you know, this spring, as much rain as we've had, I mean, they're just in the mud all the time, and it gets kind of messy out there, so.
Any
Make a
questions,
motion
Mr.
for
Hopper?
adoption of the resolution. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution with purchase of equipment for the sanitation department. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Thank you, Joe. Next
Thanks,
up,
Joe.
the Public Safety Committee. First, we have an ordinance to approve the appropriation of funds to purchase computer equipment for the Conway Police Department. Chief Harris. Where is Chief Harris? Is anyone here to speak for this tonight? Council, I do not have enough background on this to know exactly what chief is. It's a fairly large expenditure. Sean, do you know what we're looking at here? Never mind. I'm not going to ask you to do that. It's about $108,000. Council, if you would like, we can table this till the police chief can be here, or we can move forward. Have a motion and a second to table this appropriation to the next meeting with appropriation to purchase computer equipment for the Conway Police Department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes
Can I
8.
ask a question? Is this an emergency piece of equipment that we need?
That's a good question.
Because if we're gonna be putting it off for a
Yeah,
month.
I don't see an
It
emergency
doesn't have
clause
an
on this.
emergency clause in it.
And I'm going to say the chief would be here had something not come up, because he and I spoke today. So
I would say that if he needs, something.
maybe why he's not here.
I would just say that if he, excuse me, if he does need it between now and the next meeting, that we could have a special meeting of
Agree.
some kind to do that. Would that be agreeable?
Sure.
For me.
Yes.
All right, so council, this is tabled until meeting next month, unless we see a need to do it sooner, we will do that. Next, we have a resolution approving a grant application for Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for the Conway Fire Department. Chief Winter. Chief, on behalf of myself and the council, we are sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I'm going to let Robbie speak to this. This is just requesting permission to apply for a Firehouse Subs grant for equipment for the fire department.
Yeah, so Firehouse Subs releases a grant quarterly, and we're looking to apply for some airbags for the fire department at about $21,000. It's a non-matching grant, so if we're successful, that should buy us, I think, about three airbags, chief. So that would be, is that right? 2 full sets. This one will be due early July, so with y'all's approval, we'd like to apply for this grant.
Make a motion for adoption of the resolution.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution for a grant application for the Conway Fire Department. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Thank you, Robbie. Next up, we have an ordinance to approve 5-year financing for the Conway Fire Department and the Conway Emergency Operations Center. And council, this also has an emergency clause. I think first up is Sean.
Evening, council. We are over the 6-7 year time frame for our radio system. It's been operating on the same hardware, same software for quite a while. So my portion of this is for the radio system upgrade, get us up to hardware standards that keep up with the software. And in addition to that, we're also going to have some redundancy put in place. Right now, we're operating with one radio core, just the brains. If something were to happen to any piece of hardware in that one, we would not have our radio system functioning. So this upgrade includes some forward thinking and making sure that we have a redundant core that's off-site. It'll be housed at Conway Corp's data center. And this will get us up to where we need to be so we can keep providing communications to our public safety.
Any questions of Sean? Okay, Chief Winter.
So on our side, this is for the purchase of the mid-mount aerial ladder truck that was approved a few months ago. We have typically gone through PNC on financing. Their interest rate was 4.2. The mayor brought up, let's look around and see if we can get something cheaper, and I believe Denise has found something cheaper. And so that's our part of it.
What's your delivery time on this, Chief?
Hopefully next week. And it'll still take a few weeks to get it equipped and in service, but end of this month.
That's good news. I wasn't expecting that. Good. Council, any questions of the chief or Mr. Kennedy?
I would like to recognize Mr. Tom Grumbles and Mr. Kevin Wish from First Service Bank, who are with us tonight, who provided the funding for this upgrade for our system. Gentlemen, thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you. Council, back to you.
Make a motion for the adoption of the ordinance 02555, including the emergency clause.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance with the emergency clause. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd?
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Isby?
Yes.
Mr. Hawks?
Yes.
Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Mr. Burgers?
Aye.
Mr. Grimes?
Aye.
And the emergency clause, Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Isby? Mr. Hawks?
Yes.
Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Mr. Spurgers?
Aye.
Mr. Grimes?
Aye. Those both pass 8-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Last on the agenda tonight, we have the Public Safety Committee with a discussion of the Conway fire salaries. I will turn this over to Alderman Grimes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me find what I've got here. All right, last month at our committee meeting, a lot of information was presented, all right? And I'm going to begin this meeting saying the same thing I ended last meeting with, in that this is a beginning. It's a first step. It's not the only step. I can't tell you what the next step would be or when it's going to be, but I do really like the structure that the fire department put together. And we'll talk about some scenarios that we could implement now or in the future. But again, this is a beginning to something I think will actually be very workable for the city going forward. All right? So let me pass a couple of things around. You've got in your packet what we had last time, the scale with some numbers and an overall deal. No, those pass around, it's fine. And that one is yours and that. All right, the first page with the smaller up on it. All right, the first one you got, what Tyler did, and there's a lot of numbers out there, and there's a lot of numbers out there. Mr. Winningham put together some information about some different departments, and that can be valuable to a point. If you just take Conway's salary budget, 7.3 million for fire, divided by the 113 positions, it comes out to an average pay, again, averages are averages, $64,362. All right? If you take North Little Rock's stated salary budget for fire of 10.9 divided by the 160 firefighters, the average pay is $67,944. Okay, so the average pay shortfall in Conway would be about $3,600 on average. Now, I've not done a deep dive on these numbers yet, but I plan to. I suspect a couple of things are causing some of that closeness. North Little Rock has a lot of incentives that I suspect aren't being fully utilized to the extent that they could be. So on paper, it looks like it might be a little more. Also in Conway, as you saw last time, we're top heavy. We're top heavy at the fire captain advanced. We got 31 guys making 75,000. So that's going to push our average higher. And so I think where the more of the issues are, and I've heard this from other people, is some of the lower ranks. Okay. So at any rate, so that's one look at how that stacks up. Now, the second sheet I gave you, I was happy to hear Mr. Winningham's report earlier that we're not now 5 months in a row. We kicked back up for a month. So that gives me some cause for positivity there. What we can do, and you've got some scenarios here. What was presented last time, added about 330,000 annually to the general fund, about 3.7%. Half a year, if we chose to do something July 1st, it'd be half of that, about 165,000 this year. And what that included was new salaries for the new proposed positions of a firefighter engineer senior. That would move several guys up immediately. And then also the new fire captain senior, which would move several guys up immediately. All right, that's your base pay. You see 90,000 increase on this sheet. That's where that 90,000 comes from. All right. Then of course, again, North Little Rock had lots of incentives. We can provide incentives too. And I think the incentives are important because if somebody's looking, it may not be fully functional for someone to do some of these, but if someone is looking at our department who has these, it's another reason they might choose to come here as opposed to somewhere else. But education pay, language pay, in addition to the current paramedic pay. Certificate pay, 95 people would qualify for that, adds about 82,000 annually. Then longevity pay, beginning again at 10 years, $90 a year. So at year 10, you get $90 or 900 and adds 90 more each year. All right. That's how you get to the 330,000, which was thrown out there last time. Okay. Now, we could, at this point, if we're still not comfortable with the sales tax revenue, we could do nothing. We could do this. We could do part of it. We could do more. Okay. In scenario 2 on that sheet, if you'll look, we could do everything as was presented last time, except hold off on longevity pay. Because if you remember, that's a lump sum payment in November. So we could wait till October to talk about longevity pay, see how the rest of these months are going. Making a decision now is, don't have to make a decision now on longevity pay. So if we did all what we talked about last time without longevity pay, that's about 205 annually. All right. Now another scenario 3, again, I do think regardless of what we do, I think we need to hold off on longevity pay just because we have time. There's no need to make a decision now on something that's not going to happen until November. So if you leave out longevity pay, and I'll walk, this is where it gets a little complicated, so walk through me with this on your sheet, all right? All right. If you leave everything else in place, including the promotions of the new departments, again, knowing the pinch point is more in the engineer level and some of the captain level, not at the beginning fire level. If you do not make any changes to the first 2 levels, firefighter basic and firefighter general, and those guys understand, move through that pretty quickly anyway, and move on up. The beginning pay is not the problem, what I understand. So don't do anything with those 2, or X those out. If you took every other position, each 1% raise would add $41,000 annually, okay? So, for example, if we decide to give, again, culling out those first 2 positions, if you give everybody else a 1% raise, you'd see what that would amount to, 2.8%, 243. If you did 2%, it just doubles that 41 to 82, all right? And it takes it basically up again to about 3.2%. So anyway, that's I'll quit talking for a while, and that's a starting point where we can discuss what we might want to discuss.
David, what would be the total percent increase? I would just add the 124, 434 longevity pay. Like if we were looking at scenario 4, for example, I would just add that to the total and get a new percentage. So like at the end of the year, yes.
Oh,
not saying we do it now. I'm just trying to get a
yes,
picture
yes,
to
yes.
the end of the year.
That number would hold. It would add 1.4%. Yeah. Again, anything we might do here is a starting point.
I'd like to see the police department was having the same problem with fire.
Mike.
came up with a plan for them. I think it was $2 million or something around that. So I would like to see a plan that takes it all the way out and let us know what that number is that we're gonna need, to go for and a path to get there. Where we're gonna get the money from,
Well,
move forward that way.
that's the magic question, where we can get the money from.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the magic question. I mean, we can,
This doesn't affect many people right now.
well, again, depending on what scenario we went with. But no, it does not. But again, it does get some incentives in place. It does get some new positions in place to relieve some of that pinch point there where some guys have maxed out. And one of the things that we do have an issue with too is there's not much space between some of these positions dollar-wise. It's kind of been compressed. So it's hard. So let's just say, for example, if the real issue was that firefighter engineer advanced making 62, or let me back up. Firefighter engineer general making 59, well, the next pay is 62. There's not a whole lot you can do just raising their pay without having to raise the next guy and then the next guy and then the next guy. So that's where it gets tricky. And so we need to find some ways to get some separation. And I think by excluding the first two firefighter levels from that, starts to get some separation on the back end. Anyway, so, I mean, to answer your question, it's all dependent on revenue. If we continue to have a string of 4 or 5 months of 4.6 growth, and we're looking good going into next year, then, I mean, we can certainly reevaluate at any time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, if we know what we're gonna have to have in the end, we'll have to come up with a revenue somehow.
Well,
I mean, we ask the people to step up or whatever it be. We need to know, I mean, this seems like we're just kind of shooting out into nowhere.
Well, it's a lot easier shooting. You got a whole lot of bullets. We ain't got many bullets.
Yeah.
I mean, we could fire a whole bunch more if we were up 4.6
We need to know how many
for the year.
bullets we need.
Well, we need more than what we got. But again, I'm
That 5 million, is that 2 million?
I don't know. I mean, it just depends on, like I said, I can't tell you what the next step is or when the next step will be, but I do know, you got to take the first step before you take the second step and the third step. And I'm comfortable doing something tonight. Again, it's just a start. And I think it gets a new scale in place that is workable. That does allow some folks to get a little more money.
Mr. Ledbetter, I'm sorry, go ahead, Shelley.
I was going to say, I had one question because Mr. Ledbetter made a comment that not many people would be affected by this. I just want to make sure I'm reading this right, okay, and I'm understanding this. So on certificate pay, 95 employees of the fire department would get an increase for certificate pay. That's out of 113
Yes.
altogether.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I
now
just
granted,
want to make sure. Yeah.
And now granted, some of those
Yeah.
are not a lot.
Or not a lot of.
Not a lot.
Yeah. No.
The more hours you have, the more you
Yeah,
you
I'm-
pay. And again, that sets up a structure where it's very easy. Once the structure's in place, you can add a level 6, level 7, or you can even add to what those incentives at the current levels would pay. So,
Well, and kind of feeding off of what Mr. Ledbetter said also, and David, you too, that kind of compression seems to be what's hampering us a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with Chief Winter too,
Yeah.
I mean, there's different ways to stretch it, I guess. And so that may be something else we need to look at so that if Chief Winter is paid a little bit more, then that gives us more room.
yeah, you got to stretch it.
underneath
You
this.
got
I
to, you
mean,
got to
yeah.
stretch it on both ends. There's some room
Absolutely.
to be able to do something, for sure.
Tyler, you still here. Can you refresh my memory on how much of our total budget is spent on employees? Can you help me with that one? It was 80-something percent.
82.
82? I couldn't remember whether 82 or 87.
82.
That's all I needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of thoughts and questions here. First thing is, I agree with Mr. Ledbetter, and I don't think this is going away, right? Like, the issue's been growing for some time. It's not going away. What I'm hearing you say is we need a clear definition of what we need to fund and a way to come up with it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's the conversation that we need to be having, regardless of what and when step 2 is. The other thing that I'm curious in that I would give you, the chief, whoever wants to, I don't believe we've heard from the chief on this yet, right? I think he was not here when Mr. Grimes presented first. Just curious if he
Could
has
you
any
step
feedback.
up, please?
Chief, just since I don't, if I remember, you were out of town when this came up last time. I'm just curious if you have any feedback based on what's been presented here. I don't have a specific question for you.
So, to echo what Alderman Grimes has said, this is not where we want to be. This is a starting point, and I've discussed with our firefighters. It's a bad time to be looking at Conway firefighter salaries. I want us to be competitive to where we're not spending $70,000, $80,000 on a firefighter for them to jump boat, now have their certificate and go start somewhere else higher. Our starting pay is competitive. We lose it as we advance through. And again, I'm very appreciative of the committee. They've looked at it, but it's not where we want to be.
And the structure, you guys are, or in general, the structure we're happy with, it's the number that's more the rub right now.
The structure, the way we move through the grid, which enables the firefighters to better themselves, which betters the department that we all serve, the citizens of Conway, that gives them an opportunity to be rewarded for their effort.
Sure.
And yes, and that was developed, internally with as opposed to the grid we have today.
Sure. I think the only other question I have right now is obviously the danger that you just mentioned that the police department was experiencing some years ago is that we become a training ground. I understand that danger and that could happen. Qualitatively, with real numbers, is that happening today?
We've lost, I don't want to lie to you, I'm having to think, my mind's not real clear right now. We haven't lost that many. We've 2 other departments this year. I have been told we have a number on other lists right now that have tested, upwards to like 16. I don't know that all of them would accept if they've been offered a position. That's a punch in the gut, should that happen. And even, I'm not the first one to go through this. Mayor Castleberry went through this several years ago as we were a training ground for other departments.
I'd like to suggest something. If, David, if you could get the numbers and get with Mike and his staff and sit down and go over them and see if you can put some things together and get us an end number. Is that doable?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, you can come up with a number, but my number may not be what
Absolutely.
you like. May not be what they like. We can come up with a number.
Well, and we're trying to equal North Little Rock.
No, I mean,
That's what we did with the police
Well,
department.
that's not, I don't know that it's necessarily the full goal. But we're
Well,
trying
that's
to,
what we did with the police department.
well, not fully, but at any rate.
Whatever.
Also, when the police department came up, we had increasing revenue. If we had the same revenue stream as 4 years
that.
ago,
But that-
we'd be having a much different conversation.
That doesn't make their,
I agree. I agree it doesn't. Makes our job harder. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if we don't know what a number is, we can't get there.
I mean, then we can start, we just gonna leave it nothing tonight?
Up to the council, I suppose.
We can do what you're asking, but that doesn't stop us from doing something with this. We can certainly do what you're asking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can certainly do what you're asking.
Do what you want to with it. But
I have no problem doing what you're asking, but now getting to the number, I don't know what the number is. But we can continue to look at what the number, we can continue to look what the number ought to be.
I think we need to look and see what that number is.
Absolutely.
Whatever it happens to be. And whichever one of these plans that David's group has put forward to us, I can see four different numbers.
Well,
Four different.
Well, I think that's where you could work with the chief and his staff and see what works for them or what they prefer.
They've given numbers with what works for them, but it's irrelevant what works right now because we don't have the funding to do it. And we can plan for the future, certainly. And Mr. Hawkins, these scenarios aren't the end-all be-all. I mean, again, I don't care if we do anything tonight or not. I presented some options, and the council can do with it what they want. And I'll be happy to continue to study it, Mr. Ledbetter.
I'd say if we act on something tonight without knowing what that number is, that'd be malfeasance.
Well, but I would make the case that if we were to do any of these scenarios tonight, we're still going to be under what the ultimate,
It doesn't change the final number
we
we're trying
might want to get to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where I look at it is what Mr. Grimes has talked about and and given the current lack of liquidity in sales tax, being able to do something now instead of waiting another couple months to do something or to get a presentation for something we can't do, at least now we can start getting some funds, some salary increases, if that's what we decide to do, in the hands of these firefighters. And so knowing that it is only just the next step, that there's still more to your point, but I think if we did any of these, it's still going to be well under, what we would hope to achieve.
Doing something that was presented tonight, or
some
other ideas or whatever,
yeah.
does not preclude us from doing what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It just, this gets us a little bit closer to where the ultimate number is. Doing something here or not doesn't change the ultimate number, but doing something tonight gets us a little bit closer to it, taking some baby steps.
Has everybody seen these scenarios that they were passed out tonight? I mean, what are the firemen and you comfortable with doing on these steps? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which one is more comfortable to y'all? I mean, we're making a decision, but we kind of need to know what y'all are comfortable with if we're gonna do something tonight that's gonna help y'all. I mean, this is not nothing that's gonna be the end of what us helping y'all. Which one of these scenarios would y'all be comfortable with? Not us passing it. We can pass it and just throw it on you, but we need them to be at least somewhat happy with what we're doing. Because I know they're not happy with it. I can understand it too, let me say it, with them not getting their money. But at least them knowing we're trying and which step they're happy with. See what I'm saying? So have y'all seen these scenarios? Which ones are y'all comfortable with?
Chief Winter has not seen these scenarios.
Well, and I would say,
I'm sorry, let me back up. He has seen all this general information. It's the same information that was presented last time, just with a few tweaks. Okay, so he has seen the information. He hasn't seen this particular sheet.
I think the conversations I've had and some of the emails that we've received, I think not doing anything with the base salaries was a major concern, is what I heard. Appreciated the certificate pay and things like that. So that's why I said what I did. If we can do something tonight that would address some movement in that base salary, again, knowing that, and I think, Mark, you're raising a really good point. We don't know how we're going to pay for it and how we're going to get to that, but I want us to see us make at least a good faith step tonight. Just like David had presented back then, it was, okay, here, now we've got a structure. Okay, what's our next step? And then there are more steps coming. And I think doing what you said, which is, okay, lay it out. What would it look like if lowering sales tax was not an issue? Not having the sales tax to cover it was an issue. What would we want to be able to do? And then looking at ways to take steps to get there. So I don't disagree with you either.
That's where I'm 100% of, yes, let's do something tonight. And what I understand some of the conversation we had earlier, but what I'd like to see is, other than telling the firefighters, yep, we'll take another step, let's say what that is, even if it's what you just talked about. Okay, the committee gets back together, comes up with a number. The reality of it is I believe the number asked for was 2.2 million. And if we present anything less than 2.2 million, it's going to be, that's not what we're looking for. So I think the most that we can do never mind. I'm not going any further with that. Something tonight, one thing that you said earlier that I think is accurate, that I wrote down is, at one point, does our approach become proactive instead of reactive? Because if the answer is always, we don't have the money, then we will never have the money. So at what point do we say, and how, what point and how do we say, this is how we're going to fund this continually? I don't know the answer to that question, just throwing the question out.
So,
Either way, I think we do need to get the chief and his staff involved in the final numbers.
I would agree with that.
yes,
I would
Mr.
agree with
Ledbetter,
that.
that'd be correct.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Mr. Mayor,
We can certainly do that.
we also have the unique perspective of 1, 2, 3 fire chiefs here. Do you know what's happening in other cities? I mean, I know we've looked at like salaries. What's happening in other cities with the concern in rising infrastructure cost and rising salaries? Have you had conversations with their mayors?
It is a problem nationwide, as it was in the police department. There are other options. This one would be extremely unpopular, but it is an option. I do not advocate this. You just asked for something. Madison, Wisconsin, 238,000 people. They rely on paid staff, and then for structure fires, they rely on volunteer staff. That would be a step backwards for Conway, something that I would not advocate, and I don't think Mr. Ledbetter would either. That's one option. The other option is, I think, Mike, you've lost 4 firefighters in the last 3 years to other cities. Is that correct?
To other fire departments, that's probably correct. We've lost a few more just for more money.
Okay. I do want to address this while I have the mic. In the last 3 years, fire departments received 14% in raises. In the last 8 years, 27%, I think. So while the pay is not where we want it, it's not like we've not tried to help in some way. As far as longevity pay, and I know we're not talking about that tonight, I agree for longevity pay for police and fire. I also agree for longevity pay for all of our other employees. You let the trash go 2 weeks without getting picked up in the city and see how mad people are. So I'm going to agree with Mr. Ledbetter, and I'm going to agree with Mr. Grimes. I think it's important that we do something, and Mr. Spurgers and Ms. Bell. It's important that we start tonight, but it's important. This is not the finish line. If we've got 16 people talking about leaving the city, that's not good. That's absolutely not good. I think Chief made a point. Did you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, you're okay pretty well in your starting salary and in your, how many years up into that?
Our starting salary is competitive.
Okay.
And even this new pay scale, you can, right now, if you've been on a year or if you've been on a day, you make the same salary. Well, now, once you get your basic certifications, you move up. And that's a lot of reflective from other departments, you know.
Right.
So starting and moving through the firefighter rank is competitive.
Okay.
But once you continue your time here, that's where we start to.
Okay. And that's perfect explanation. So we're good at starting and we're good at year what? Just say up to year what?
Well, are we going off the current scale or the proposed scale?
Just give me the current right now.
Maybe 2 years.
2 years?
Yes, sir.
All right. So 2 years and below is good. So back to Mr. Ledbetter's point in the $2.2 million, then start at year 3 and go up. Is that fair? Because we're not having trouble hiring people. You have a pretty large list of folks wanting to hire, and you're not having trouble with people in the first 2 years. So I say, you know, chances are if you want to leave Conway after a second, you probably didn't want to be a fireman in Conway anyway. So I think it would be wise to look at 3 years and above and then go along with what Mr. Ledbetter said. That's my personal opinion.
And I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. Again, myself and my committee weren't done after tonight, no matter what we did. We will continue to work with the chief and all parties involved to figure out where we need to be and how we get there. But again, until Mr. Winningham gives us more good results, we're kind of hamstrung. But yes, we can still try to outline a plan where we need to be and how we try to get there.
Twice you said this is a starting point. And
I hope I've said it 12 times.
well, I think you have.
Well, and in the scenarios, David, scenario 3 and 4, I think you said all but basic and general.
Yes.
For
Yes.
those salary increases. So
And that allows for
kind
some of that
is
money.
what-
And that allows for some of that money. Again, lower ranks don't need it. There's 35 guys there who will be moving up or moving out. And instead of giving money to the levels that don't need it, that money can be spread upward to places that do need it.
Agree.
And it gives us a little more gap then to work with between some of these levels.
Well, and I think that if you're looking at, and I kind of mentioned this, you know, to look at, you know, where do we want to be? I think that should include where we would like to be with the chief's salary, not necessarily Chief Winter. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but really, you know, looking at what the chief's salary is so that gives us, again, some expandable flexibility with the lower ranks, captains, battalion chiefs, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So Chief, I'm gonna put you on the spot here just a little bit. Are you okay with this starting point?
Yes, with, if I'm understanding right, the grid that the committee, how you work your way through the pay grid. Yes, I'm.
The incentives.
The incentives
Yes.
and as a starting point, yes, I'm good with that. I would much rather see that be put into play, and then continue to work on what several other aldermen have brought forward.
Fair enough. Good answer, Chief. Council, back to you.
I
Mr.
got
Red-
one thing
Yes,
to
sir.
say. I hope y'all didn't think I was saying that I didn't want to start on something tonight. I was saying, we definitely want to give you something tonight. I was just trying to get clarification on which one of these scenarios fit y'all better. And that was my only concern. I wanted them to already have had an idea of what we were giving them. See what I'm saying? Is that clear enough? Y'all understand? Am I talking about? Y'all understand what I'm saying? Yes? No? Yes? Okay.
Spencer, were you about to say something?
I just wanted to confirm with Mr. Winningham if he's seen these numbers and if we were to do something tonight with our current economic status, do you feel like we can move forward with this as a first step until we are able to consider larger moves for our fire department?
Yes, sir. I was on the committee with Mr. Grimes. Well, I was in the committee meetings just to provide information. I wasn't part of the committee itself, but yes, sir, I've seen these numbers. It's, again, it's a tough spot, you know? I mean, the mayor mentioned we're doing these internal audit meetings, talking to departments, trying to figure out, you know, ways we can make cuts and try to deal with these sales tax decreases we've seen. And at the same time, we're talking about increasing our personnel expense. It's a difficult conversation. Can we do it? Yes, we can. When you look at what the city's dealing with as a whole, just like the chief said, he told us firefighters, it's a bad time. So it's kind of a two-sided answer, and I hate to give you that, but that's truly how I feel. I think we could do it, but it's going to make that job more difficult to make up if, you know, if June is the only month we're up in sales tax and it turns down again, this would make it more difficult to make up for that as the year goes on.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
And I think that's with scenario 2, 3, and 4, waiting on longevity pay until October, November, you know, I think gives us that cushion, you know. So if we did, you know, the certificate pay, everything else that was presented, you know, the new levels that were added in the different ranks, and then just deciding if we want to increase any of the base salary. And then longevity pay would have to be determined after we see, you know, as Tyler mentioned, you know, is this hopefully not a fluke month that sales tax is up?
Continue.
I think if we were going to go that direction, which I understand and don't disagree with, that I would make a motion in favor of scenario 4, because that would be the greatest impact in the short term.
I will second that. And let me talk through some more of scenario 4. That basically, all right, if scenario 4 is, let me get a little more numbery here.
Well, and we need to be really clear to make sure everybody understands
Right.
what
That's right.
they don't see what we're looking
That's right.
at.
I will. All right. Look at your the front page of your proposed scale with the new positions in blue and green and pink.
I got it.
Yeah, it's in the.
All right.
it's in
Go back
here.
to the,
All right. I do think that, and I will walk through this again. So scenario 4 is we adopt this new pay scale that Chief Winter and his committee of firemen came up with, without numbers. We put the numbers in. We adopt the new scale, creating a new firefighter senior engineer and a new fire captain senior, engineer senior and captain senior, and creating various levels of certificate pay, many of which we do not have now, most of which we don't have now. All right, and you can see those. The new positions add about $90,000, about 20-something guys total. It's a 4% raise for the new fire captain seniors, up to $78,000. The education pay affects 15 folks, $25,000 total. Language pay affects 2 people for additional $74.40. That's got the lot fee number in it. That's why it's not a round number. Certificate pay affects 95 people, adds about $81,000. So then, again, culling out firefighter basic, firefighter general, everyone else, not the new positions, but everybody else, gets 2%. That would add about $82,000, including lot fee, for a grand total of about, well, grand total of $288,000. Now, here's where I get math here. This dawned on me about 4 o'clock today. If we do 2% increase, go to your blue section. If we do a 2% increase on that firefighter engineer advanced, it takes them pretty much up to 64, the scale of the new position. So we would need to take that to 65. Okay? Same with the green section. We would need to take that from 78 to 79. That does, it adds about another 38,000, and it takes us up to basically the same dollar amount as scenario 1. So at any rate, we'd have to move those a little higher so they're not compressed even tighter than they are. So we add 1,000 each of those levels. So if that's not too confusing, but yes, I think scenario 4 is doable. And I second to that motion. I think we can do that. And also what I would like to see too then, to your point, Mr. Ledbetter, once this is implemented, it's like the game plan for the Razorbacks. Looks good on paper. But I want to see it on the field. I want to see it on the field.
We got to go there.
I want to make sure this does what this intended. Okay, this small step. I want to make sure this does what was intended. Okay, then we can go from there to start filling into where you want to be. So, yes.
and
A few more. Well, one more thing to just make it even worse. On the pink section, again, the firefighter section, the regular firefighter section, we had put a little bump in there to 54 and 55 for 0 positions and 3 positions. This is minimal, but I would take those just at 2% because, again, that gives us more room between the levels. We can address that later if we need to, but that's not where the problem is with 3 guys. It's with the
Right.
multiple guys before. So I would take those to 2%, and I'll shut up.
So do we need to be more specific in that motion other than scenario 4, given that?
Yeah, how do we need to word that? Do we need to spell it all out?
We have to suspend the rules because it's not on the agenda tonight. We'll have to suspend the rules if the council so chooses in order to take a vote on y'all's percentage, on everyone's percentage.
I move that we suspend the rules to discuss this issue.
Have a motion and a second to suspend the rules, discuss firefighter salaries. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You up again, David.
Well, I want to be as specific as we need to be, but not any more specific and confusing as it's already been. And that it would be effective July 1, I'm assuming, if everybody's fine with that, mid-year. And well, how about this? How about this? I'm going to write this down.
I'm writing.
Okay.
And she is too.
The motion is adopt the new pay scale. In the committee meeting last time, scenario 4, with these changes. There is no raise to the base pay for firefighter immediate or advanced. Firefighter engineer senior, new pay would be $65,000, not $64,000. Fire captain senior new pay would be $79,000, not $78,000. Then that gets this scale correct, okay? In addition to adopting this scale, we will not act on longevity pay. And as far as the 2% raise across the board, it applies to all positions except firefighter basic and firefighter general. And of course, it does not apply to the new positions that got a new base salary.
We need to say anything about certificate pay, or is that included in what we adopted?
Well, I
That's
think
in
that,
the original
it's on this scale, so I think that covers it there.
Okay. You're just noting the differences in that.
From what was
Okay,
presented
yep,
to
yep.
the tweaks we made tonight on the original presentation. And put in the motion, it's a starting point.
Yep. Sir, Mr. Winningham.
Is that a motion from David?
Yeah, just second it. I think it was.
Second it before we discuss, or do we wait?
Yes.
I was about to say, I think I need to second it before we discuss.
Okay.
So second.
Second, I have a motion and a second.
We'll need an ordinance at the next council meeting to appropriate funding for this anyway.
Yeah.
And we can put the details you're
Yeah.
discussing in that ordinance. So the motion tonight can go ahead and make it
And that
effective
way
July
you can-
1.
You could.
We can
make
clean it up. Right.
Right.
We have to
Yes,
have a
yes,
motion or
perfect.
ordinance to appropriate the
Yeah,
funding
so on
anyway.
the next agenda, we can have an ordinance before you with all these details spelled out in that ordinance, so we'll have it in writing.
Okay.
And write them in big letters too, so I can understand it.
We can't make it effective July 1 and if we hadn't. done the
Unless we
ordinance.
We
go
can have a
back.
meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll call a special meeting at lunch
Okay.
one
have
day.
to,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, we'll get it handled. All right. So I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution with everything that Mr. Grimes said that I'm not going to attempt to repeat. And that this is a starting point. All right. Ms. Hurd
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
passes 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter, Mr. Jones, Mr. Grimes, Mr. Hawkins, all of you, Drew, everyone for voicing your opinion on that. So
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you for the good discussion.
Yeah, and around the discussion, just one comment there that, you know, the narrative that's been passed around on social media is that we don't care about our firefighters. And I won't cuss on our live meeting, but that is emphatically false. The discussion that was heard tonight was, yes, this is a problem and we have to figure out how to fix it. And that is incumbent upon us. And that's what I'm hearing from Mr. Ledbetter is like, let's figure out the target and how we make it happen. That's what we have to do, but I want to publicly say as loudly as possible that it is emphatically false that we do not care about our firefighters. Guys, we understand, guys and girls, that you put your lives on the line for us. We appreciate it. I understand you want more here. We'll keep working, and I think that's the question is what is the next step? But emphatically, hear that you are appreciated and let us continue to do the work to show that.
And I will say, over the years, this body has never voted against anything that's been
Right.
brought to us for the firefighters and police officers that I can remember.
It is not.
No, we
It's
have not.
I forgot. I'm sorry we had to get in this predicament, and I wish we had addressed it earlier, but it's nothing I can say to change what we didn't do in the past, but I hope we can do better moving forward. And we appreciate y'all, and please don't leave Conway because we need you. Y'all some good guys, and y'all always have positive attitudes and everything, so we really, really need y'all. Please stay here.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right. We voted, it's passed 8-0. Okay, council, that is all I have tonight. I will take a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, do I need to sign?